When I was in college, my best friend was a guy I'll call Stevie the Philosopher Atheist. At the time, I was an agnostic verging on faith, and he was an atheist. So it was quite the pair. Every Thursday, we would get together. We would shoot some hoops. We would play basketball. Then we would eat a ton of food. We would watch this terrible, awful, no good, rotten reality TV show, and then we would like play video games for a while. And I loved everything about this routine. It was a great routine. Like I'm 20 years old. It was a lot of fun, except for one thing. I hated watching that reality TV show. And one day I asked Stevie, I was like, what are we doing? Why are we spending 30 minutes watching this awful, terrible, rotten, no good reality TV show? And what he said to me will always stick with me. He said, because whenever I start feeling bad about myself or bad about my life, I watch this show and I think, at least I'm not that bad. I could be doing worse. One of the truest tropes that you'll hear in life is you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems and your standards. In other words, you're a product of your standards and your systems. And Stevie's standard was just be better than these reality TV stars. As long as I am better than them, then I'm good. It doesn't matter if my grades start dropping or I grow less virtuous over time or that I live an altogether selfish life. As long as I'm not as selfish as them, as long as I'm more virtuous than them, as long as my grades or I'm perceived as more intelligent than they are, then I'm good. Or at least I'm good enough. And that leads to a pretty mediocre life, doesn't it? If, like Stevie, you and I, we measure our life against a particular standard, a reality TV show level standard, or a standard that we know we're already higher than, we know we've already surpassed, then we're robbing ourselves of something really important. We're robbing ourselves of the person we could be. And that's an incredible tragedy. Because there's something incredible about the human spirit that is enlivened and enlarged by striving for something beyond our current capacity, something that's just out of reach. There's something that makes us feel fully alive when we're striving for something, as opposed to we're looking down and going, well, I'm still above that standard. That's not motivating. That's not inspiring. That doesn't bring out the best in us. It actually slowly but surely diminishes the quality of our character, our level of virtue, our hard work, our energy, our passion, all that stuff. And this week, at the end of the gospel, right at the end, there's this phrase. It ends with this phrase, Jesus did all things well. Now think about that as a standard for your life. Think about that as a standard for your life and for my life. If at the end of the day we look back and we say, okay, did I do all things well? Did I do all things well in the way that Jesus does all things well? It would take a heck of a lot of courage to do that. And it does take a heck of a lot of courage to do that. It takes a lot of courage to ask yourself, did I love well? Did I work well? Did I speak well? Did I suffer well? Did I celebrate well? Did I listen well? Did I do all things in my day well? And if I didn't, how can I do all things well tomorrow? Or at least better than I did today. That takes a lot of courage and a lot of hope to then turn to God and be like, hey, can I have another day tomorrow to try and reach that standard, to try and reach that level and say, I did all things well. So as you go to Mass this weekend, ask yourself and ask God, what area of my life am I doing well? And in what area of my life do I need to grow? Do I need to do better? God bless you. Have a great weekend.